The exciting story begins with a party organized by two girls, Mary and Claire. They invited all their schoolmates and relatives to the party. Among the guests was a girl named Casey, who always kept to herself. Neither Claire nor Mary wanted to invite Casey, but their dads insisted on sending her an invitation. The reason for this was that Casey's parents had been molesting her, which is why she preferred to be alone. At the party, Casey tells Claire and Mary's dad that she feels uncomfortable and wants to leave immediately. So, Claire and Mary's dad decided to take her home. The three girls got into the car, and while Claire and Mary's dad were busy with the luggage, there was a sudden noise outside. To their surprise, a man named Kevin entered the car. Without any hesitation, Kevin knocked the three girls unconscious and took them to a secret location. When Claire, Mary, and Casey regained consciousness, they found themselves in a strange chamber, not understanding what was happening. Suddenly, Kevin appeared at the door. Kevin was a seemingly simple man, but he had a multiple personality disorder, meaning he had 20 different personalities inside him that could take control at any moment. The real Kevin had no idea what was happening. At that moment, the personality of a man named Dennis had taken over, and he approached Mary, forcibly taking her to another room. When someone saw this, they told Mary that she should urinate in her pants. As Dennis took Mary to the room for his twisted intentions, Mary ended up doing as advised, which caused Dennis to become frustrated and return her to the room. Dennis had a peculiar habit of enjoying watching girls dance without clothes. This is why Kevin used to kidnap random girls and engage in inappropriate behavior with them. Kevin then went to visit his family doctor, who knew about his multiple personalities. The doctor had always hoped that Kevin would get better, but the different personalities inside him kept taking over. At that time, Kevin's body was controlled by a personality named Barry, who was an extrovert and an excellent sketch artist. Barry showed the doctor some of his sketches, and the doctor was quite impressed by his unique skill. However, despite trying many different approaches, Kevin still hadn't been cured. Barry told the doctor that he was completely healed and would return in a week. But the doctor knew that this wasn't the real Kevin. Meanwhile, Claire and Mary were discussing how they would have to fight if that man came near them to save their lives. Casey, however, said that they couldn't fight him because he had easily kidnapped them before, which meant he was much stronger than them and could hurt them if he wanted to. They needed to find another way out. Suddenly, the three of them noticed that Kevin was outside with a lady, but they couldn't see her clearly. They began to shout loudly, and the lady heard them and opened the door. However, Claire, Mary, and Casey were shocked because the lady wasn't a lady at all, it was Kevin wearing women's clothes. This was one of Kevin's personalities, a female one named Persia. At that moment, Kevin had taken on the personality of a woman and was speaking to them in a soft, feminine voice. Persia reassured them that they had nothing to fear and that she wouldn't harm them. After saying that, Persia closed the door and left. The three girls were still confused about what was happening with Kevin. After a while, the door opened again, and Kevin's original personality, Dennis, the one who had kidnapped them, entered with cleaning supplies. Dennis told them that they were all going to clean the house. Kevin's personality named Dennis had a strong obsession with cleanliness, and this led to the three girls being instructed to go into the restroom to clean. Dennis mentioned that Persia had asked him to take care of them, which made him view his different personalities as separate individuals. After assigning them the difficult task, Dennis left them alone. However, the situation took a strange turn when Kevin's body was overtaken by the personality of an 8-year-old boy. The child, sitting at the door, warned that a very dangerous person was about to arrive, and the three girls were in great danger. Claire and Mary didn't understand who he was talking about, so Mary asked Kevin who this person was. Kevin replied that he wasn't allowed to tell them but emphasized that the one coming was very dangerous and had harmed many people. Just as the 8-year-old boy's personality was about to leave, Casey stopped him and told him that she needed to talk to him. She called Kevin over and explained that this time, the danger wasn't coming for them, but for him. The 8-year-old personality, frightened, said he had overheard Dennis saying that they were the prime suspects and that he was following them. Casey then tried to confuse Kevin by telling him another story about how she had overheard both Dennis and Persia talking. She said that the dangerous person coming after them was actually after Kevin, which made the three girls appear to be his protectors. She continued by saying that they were here to help him and would keep him safe, and that they needed to get out of the place to survive. But Kevin refused to let them leave, saying that he had spent a long time ensuring the protection of the place, and without permission, he couldn't allow them to leave. After a tense moment, Kevin's 8-year-old personality finally left, which only scared the girls more. The girls were terrified and couldn't understand what kind of frightening thing was coming to harm them. Casey then suggested that there might be a way out of the place because Kevin had mentioned that it had taken a long time to secure the place. She, Mary, and Claire started searching different parts of the room to find an escape route. After much searching, Claire noticed a small hole in the ceiling, and when she began breaking it, she discovered a possible way out. As Claire kept breaking the ceiling, they hoped to escape, but Dennis's personality, which was inside Kevin, started to interfere. Mary and Casey quickly locked the door, claiming they were changing clothes. However, Dennis grew suspicious because they didn't have any extra clothes. He became convinced they were up to something and tried to break the door down. By now, Claire had almost created a way through the ceiling and was making her escape. Dennis managed to break in through the door, but Claire continued to move through the ceiling. She thought she could escape alone, but as she crawled through the bunker, she entered a chamber where she was filled with fear. To hide, Claire locked herself in a cupboard. However, Dennis eventually found her and caught her. He brutally beat her and locked her in another room, so now the three girls were separated and couldn't meet. This made Casey and Mary realize that Kevin was suffering from a strange condition that caused many different personalities to take over his body at different times. People with this disorder could become very dangerous because they had no control over their actions. Now, Casey and Mary began to make a plan to escape together. The next day, Kevin had an appointment with his doctor, who knew everything about his multiple personalities. As Kevin entered the doctor's office, she asked him, "Which character am I speaking to right now?" Kevin's doctor, observing his behavior, immediately noticed that the personality controlling him wasn't Barry, but rather Dennis. She pointed out that Dennis's personality had been blocked from coming out, as she had previously banned the dangerous personalities like Dennis and Persia from surfacing. These two personalities were especially harmful. Persia had killed many people, while Dennis wanted to force girls to dance naked. Despite these blocks, Dennis still managed to take control of Kevin's body and continue his harmful actions. The doctor explained that the reason she blocked Dennis and Persia was because they were incredibly dangerous. The two personalities had originated from traumatic events in Kevin's past, where he was abused by two girls. This traumatic experience had led to the creation of Dennis's personality, and from then on, Kevin's mind began developing these harmful thoughts, especially towards women. However, the doctor continued to argue that the personality currently in control of Kevin's body was not Barry, as Dennis insisted. It seemed that Dennis had fully taken over Kevin's body, and the doctor, along with her agents, kept a close watch on him, now realizing the extent of the threat he posed. Dennis wasn't just controlling Kevin, but also manipulating the other personalities within him. The doctor had been researching patients with multiple personalities for years, and she believed that these patients had activated parts of their brain that allowed them to perform a variety of actions simultaneously. This was why people with multiple personalities, like Dennis, could be so dangerous. Their split personalities, each with its own agenda, made them unpredictable and lethal, especially when they took full control over the host's body. The doctor joined a conference meeting to discuss multiple personality disorder, where an interviewer asked her questions. The doctor shared an example of a patient who, due to her disorder, could write with both hands in different handwriting styles, and each was perfectly accurate. Meanwhile, Claire, Mary, and Casey were still trapped in the chamber when Kevin, now under the influence of Persia's personality, arrived. Persia interacted gently with the girls, dressing them and bringing them to the kitchen. Persia even offered them delicious food, but Mary, desperate to escape, seized a chair and began hitting Persia. Taking advantage of the moment, Mary tried to run and successfully managed to get out through a door. However, Persia's personality soon left Kevin's body, and Dennis, the dangerous personality, took over once again. He immediately caught Mary and locked her in a different room. Dennis then approached Casey, warning her that a terrifying beast would soon arrive. He explained that he was locking the girls in separate rooms so that the beast could kill them easily. Casey was terrified but couldn't understand who or what this beast was. After Dennis left, Casey woke up the next morning to find Kevin, but this time, the personality inside him was that of an 8-year-old boy. Casey tried to manipulate the childlike personality to her advantage. She asked the boy if he had seen the beast. The boy replied that he hadn't seen anything but had heard Dennis and Persia talk about how dangerous the beast was. The childlike personality then said he had a surprise for Casey, which he had placed under the window. When Casey heard about the window, she quickly prepared to escape, hoping to find a way out. However, when she reached Kevin's room, she discovered there was no window, only a drawing of one. This revelation left Casey disheartened, as the boy's personality seemed to be leading her in circles, making it even harder to escape. But Casey grabs and stops him because she knew that if the childlike character inside Kevin left, a more dangerous character could take its place, which could be harmful to all of them. That's why Casey kept stopping him, saying that he was supposed to show her something special. The child's personality gave Casey a walkie-talkie, which actually worked. This meant that now Casey could use the walkie-talkie to contact the outside world. Casey kept trying to connect with people outside through the walkie-talkie, but when she explained her situation, no one believed her. Suddenly, Kevin's body was taken over by Dennis's personality, who stopped Casey from leaving. Dennis was much stronger and more dangerous than Casey, so she couldn't do anything. He grabbed Casey and locked her in another room forever. The reason for this was that Kevin had faced many traumatic events in his childhood, which led to the development of these different personalities in his body. For instance, when Kevin was young, his father left him at the railway station, and his mother, being very weak, couldn't care for him properly, making him feel weak as well. When Kevin started school, many children bullied him. All these things caused his mind to create a personality named Dennis, which was meant to protect Kevin from these people. But the real Kevin had no knowledge of these events. Now, Dennis came to Casey and told her that everything would be okay once the beast arrived because this beast was so dangerous that it would end up killing all of them. We now see the doctor in her office, receiving many emails, some of which were from Barry. After checking the emails, the doctor discovered that Barry had written "We need you," meaning they needed her. The doctor became very concerned and immediately drove to Kevin's house. However, Kevin met her on the way, but he was still under the influence of Dennis's personality. Dennis kept talking to the doctor and took her inside his house. Dennis told the doctor that he had finally found the last personality, the beast, and had seen it. The beast was extremely powerful, with large hair, claws, and teeth, making it the most powerful personality among all of them. He believed that once the beast's personality emerged, everything would be fixed. However, the doctor already knew that this personality was extremely dangerous and that stopping it would be very difficult. She began to suspect that the 3 girls who had been kidnapped in the city were taken by none other than Dennis himself. So, the doctor pretended to go to the washroom, then quickly made her way to the basement. Suddenly, she saw Claire's unconscious body in a room. Before she could make sense of the situation, Dennis appeared behind her. The doctor tried to reason with him, telling him that he was completely out of control and shouldn't be doing this, but Dennis didn't listen to her. He knocked her unconscious and took her away to another location. At this point, it seemed that Dennis no longer needed Kevin's control and could do whatever he wanted. Dennis, holding a bouquet of flowers, went to a nearby railway station, behaving strangely. He declared that it was time to release the beast. After getting on a train, Dennis's body started changing, and he began to act like a dangerous animal. His body remained normal, but inside, he had transformed into a fierce and terrifying beast. He hung from the train and ran off with enhanced speed, looking much more frightening and savage than before. The dangerous beast inside Kevin's body eventually reached his chamber. When the doctor came in front of it, the beast grabbed her and tore her apart, killing her instantly. Similarly, the beast, still in Kevin's body, captured Mary and Claire, considering them a threat, and killed them without any reason. Luckily, Casey found the key to the chamber she was locked in. As she was about to open the door and escape, she heard the terrifying sounds of the beast. She realized that the animal Dennis had been talking about had arrived. Standing right in front of her was Kevin, but now with the beast personality inside him. Kevin, or rather the beast, was easily climbing up the walls as if it was child's play, and he looked so terrifying that Casey couldn't move from her spot. The beast started moving toward her to take her life, but at that moment, Casey spotted a piece of paper with Kevin's full name written on it. This name had been written by the doctor when she was near death, and it had a specific purpose. If Kevin's full name was called out, he would return to his true self. As the beast moved closer to attack, Casey, trembling with fear, spoke Kevin's full name aloud. The moment she did, all of Kevin's personalities temporarily shut down, and the control of his body returned to him. Weak and exhausted, Kevin stumbled back into the room, but when he came out a short while later, he found the doctor's dead body. He asked in confusion, "Who did this?" Casey, terrified, told him that he had committed all the murders. Kevin, still in disbelief, only said, "The last thing I remember is being on the bus, but I don't remember anything after that." However, it was clear to him that something was seriously wrong, and his condition was putting everyone around him in danger. In his confusion, Kevin handed Casey a short gun and told her to shoot him, believing it would end the danger. But Casey couldn't bring herself to do it. She wasn't a murderer. Suddenly, all 20 of Kevin's personalities began surfacing one after another, overwhelming him. Eventually, the personality of an 8-year-old girl took control. She was constantly asking for help, but this personality was too weak and said she would call for help from Uncle Dennis and Persia for protection. Now, even the beast personality was present, making them capable of fighting anyone who stood in their way. Casey, in a desperate attempt, read Kevin's full name again, hoping it would return him to his original state. But this time, the trick didn't work. All of Kevin's personalities together declared that Kevin was now asleep forever and would never come back. They had gained complete control over his body. Slowly, the beast personality within Kevin began to surface, and Casey, fearing for her life, ran away to escape. She needed to get the shotgun for protection so she could kill the beast. The beast personality took over, and now, it was scaling the walls, chasing after Casey. She had found the shotgun, but she wasn't proficient in using it. The beast, climbing the walls in all directions, was hard to hit. Casey fired several shots, but none of them hit the beast, who was incredibly agile and dodging every bullet. After several attempts, Casey managed to land a few shots on the beast's body, but it didn't seem to stop him. The beast kept coming toward her, determined to kill. Casey was behind bars, but the beast, using all its strength, began breaking the bars apart. As it broke through, the beast's gaze landed on Casey's body, noticing the many scars she had inflicted on herself. The beast realized that, like him, Casey had suffered great abuse and torment in her past. Understanding this, the beast spared her life and, for some reason, left, retreating to a distance. In Casey's past, her uncle and family had mistreated her, which caused her to withdraw from others at school, sitting alone in a corner. Her childhood had been full of hardship, and she had punished herself by causing pain. The next morning, a man came and freed her from the cage. He kept asking her how she had ended up trapped there, and as they both left, it was revealed that they were inside a national zoo. The location was a zoo where both wild and domesticated animals were kept. Once all of Kevin's personalities took control, he began kidnapping and imprisoning people there. Despite this, there were efforts to rescue the victims. A large team of police officers arrived and started investigating the site. During this time, they learned everything about Kevin's condition. While Casey was sitting in the police van, a female police officer approached her and said that her uncle had come to pick her up. Casey didn't respond and started crying. Meanwhile, in an unknown house, Kevin was struggling with the conflicting personalities inside him. Right now, the personalities of an 8-year-old boy and Dennis were battling for dominance. One personality was saying that a gunshot didn't hit, while the other was insisting that the body had great power and they could use it well. The personalities were planning to use Kevin's body for more killings and kidnappings. As the police gathered reports, the news spread throughout the city that a man named Kevin had multiple personality disorder. This meant that his personalities were capable of harming others. Kevin had already been shot twice, but it was unknown whether he was still alive or dead. The city was on high alert, but no one knew that a new deadly game was about to begin. And so, our thrilling story ends here.